Feel bored, you feel exhausted. And even though you know studying is important, you still don't feel like doing it. But the problem is you don't have a choice. Exams are coming, and whether you feel motivated or not, you still have to study somehow. So the real question is, how do you spark interest in studying when you feel absolutely zero motivation? First, let's understand something very important. There is no magic spell that suddenly turns you into a study witch who loves studying 24/7. No mindset trick will work unless you are willing to put in the effort yourself. But what you can do is train your brain to stop resisting studying. And to explain this better, let me give you an example. Let's talk about Seul-gi from the drama Friendly Rivalry. She is an orphan girl who starts off as just an average student. Nothing special. But one day she tops her class, and for the first time she sees something interesting. She sees the opportunities that come with being a topper, the respect, the different way people treat her. And from that moment, she never stops trying to be the best. Later in life, she struggles a lot and even starts taking meds to improve her focus, which is obviously a very bad idea. But eventually, she quits them and still manages to become the topper again. So the real question is, how can you train your focus like her without destroying your health or relying on medications? Shift your mindset. Seul-gi wasn't just a student who wanted to become a topper. In her mind, she already was one. And that's where most students make a mistake. You say you want to be a topper, but in your head, you think, I hate studying. Studying is a burden. And honestly, it doesn't work like that. Your identity controls your behavior. If you believe you're the type of person who hates studying, your brain will keep proving that belief right. Let me be honest with you. I was never the most disciplined student either. And to be even more honest, I'm still working on it. But one thing that helped me change was creating an alternate version of myself. Whenever I feel lazy or distracted, I imagine my disciplined alter ego, the version of me who finishes work on time, studies consistently, and works for her dreams instead of escaping into imagination citus. And slowly, that identity started becoming real. So instead of saying, I have to study, start saying, I am a person who studies. Make it part of your identity. Because once your brain accepts that identity, your actions start aligning with it. Retrain your thinking patterns. Our brains love patterns. If you've spent months scrolling your phone, watching reels, and procrastinating, you cannot expect yourself to suddenly wake up one morning and become a perfect student. Because right now, your brain simply doesn't believe that version of you exists. But here's the interesting part. Seul-gi wasn't always a topper either. If someone told her earlier that she would become the best student in class, she probably would have laughed. But the moment she topped once, something changed. That single experience proved two things to her brain. First, she realized how differently people treated her when she succeeded. Second, she broke the old pattern. Her brain now had proof that she was capable of doing it. And once your brain sees proof, it becomes much easier to repeat that behavior. That's why your job right now isn't to become perfect. Your job is simply to prove to your brain that change is possible. Study like a serious student. Make schedules like a serious student. Act like a serious student. Even if your brain feels uncomfortable at first. Because eventually, when your results start improving even a little, your brain will start thinking, wait, maybe this is actually possible. And that's when the pattern starts to change. Showing up matters. Let's imagine something. You had a terrible day. You're tired. You're stressed. And the last thing you want to do is study. But your plan says you need to study one chapter today. What do? Most people skip it. They say, I'll do it tomorrow. But here's the difference. Seul-gi didn't wait for the perfect mood. She showed up even when life was messy. She showed up when she was tired. She showed up when things were falling apart. She showed up when it was inconvenient. And that's the real difference between average students and successful ones. Anyone can study when life feels good. But showing up on your worst days is what trains your brain to become disciplined. Because every time you show up despite not feeling like it, your brain receives a signal, this is serious. And slowly, consistency becomes your default behavior. Work without attaching yourself to results. There is a powerful idea that appears in many philosophies and religious teachings. Focus on the work, not the result. Because when you obsess over results, two things happen. If you succeed, you feel temporary happiness. But if you fail, you feel like giving up completely. I've seen this happen so many times. Students study hard for a few months. They expect amazing results. But when the results don't match their expectations, they immediately conclude, maybe I'm not made for this. But the truth is, nobody is born for success. People become successful simply because they stay in the game longer than everyone else. So when you study, try to shift your focus. Don't study just to become a topper. Study because you are curious. Study because you want to learn something new today. When you enjoy the process of learning, failure stops being the end of the journey, and the people who refuse to quit eventually reach places others never do. Final message. So even if you fail temporarily, even if your goal feels far away right now, don't stop. Show up every single day. Because one day you'll look back and realize that the person who once struggled to study has become someone who naturally works hard for their dreams. And when that happens, everything becomes easier. Because your mind will already believe you are made to succeed.